In this show, we are going to transform your leftovers into something that gets you and everybody else excited. So we're gonna make pizza and soup. And yes, we have a gluten-free pizza dough for you. And yes, we're gonna have a vegetarian option for those who want to use up their vegetarian bits and bobs. So it's something for everybody as soon as we come back. So let me get my counter ready to do my dough, right? So we are doing a kind of play on Hawaiian pizza with our ham and meat leftovers, but we need the dough first, so I need to put those on the back counter. And then we're going to do a gluten-free pizza dough, and we're going to do our vegetarian version of pizza with a gluten-free crust, and we're going to do a meatball pizza. Yeah, using our Beyond Meat meatballs, because remember we had some Beyond Meat stuff for our vegetarian friends this Christmas, and so we still have products left over. So we're gonna use those up. So I'm gonna get this here. And then, because everybody has a huge amount of ham left over, I thought these awesome white beans would make a nice soup. It would be something different, yeah. Not typical Bajan soup. Lots of protein, good for you. We're still eating healthy in the new year, but it would change the flavor profile completely of your leftovers and, you know, give you a rest from all that rice and peas and lasagna and whatnot that you've been eating all season, right? So you want to taste something a little different, and these are really good options for that. So I have my flour. I'm going to use my favorite KitchenAid. You know how I feel about my KitchenAid. So I'm just gonna get a little warm water and bloom my yeast in the bottom of the KitchenAid. So let me just, teaspoon of this. Not hot, please, just warm. And 2 teaspoons of this bad boy. And this is gonna sit at the bottom. I'm gonna give it a minute to start to bloom. I'm gonna pull this up, lock it in place. Good, good. And I've got my other ingredients here. So we're using our organic Waitrose strong flour. It's a bread flour, which means it's gonna be really good for making pizza. Before I pour that in there and ruin my own day, let's get our bowl for our dough. I'm just gonna quickly grease the bowl with a little extra virgin olive oil. So that's there and ready. Excellent. And you can see the difference in the yeast already. So you got like 3.5 cups of flour. Let's put that in before we start anything else. Obviously dry ingredients and stuff you put in when the attachment isn't moving. It's safer, and also it means that your ingredients don't fly back out to your bowl, right? Because you don't want that. No. So you turn that on. So I let this start to go around a bit. Then I added my salt. Now note that the yeast is in the bottom, flour is on the top, and then I'm adding the salt. If you put salt directly into your yeast, you will kill it, because yeast is essentially a live organism, right? So 2 teaspoons of salt. So you don't want them to touch each other, even though they're going to be in the same dough. So please, note to self, do not touch the yeast. So you got your bread hook on our KitchenAid mixer, and I can start pouring in once the salt has been kind of distributed throughout the dry flour. Remember, dry ingredients first, then wet. I'm gonna start pouring. And I'm gonna pop in 2 tablespoons of olive oil. This is a fairly lean dough, much like baguette bread. Pizza dough is a fairly lean dough like focaccia, and a lean dough is essentially a dough that has not been enriched with eggs and cream and milk and fat and butter, right? That's a lean dough. So like regular white bread, like we would eat sliced bread, is an enriched dough. But our pizza dough is lean. And this is a very nice flour that we're using. So we'll see how this turns out in the end. So we're gonna get this mixed up, and then we are going to put it to rise and roll it out. You know how to make pizza, but you don't know how to make pizza with everything in the fridge. And that's what we're gonna do today. Right, so I can speed up a little bit. And you know that your dough starts to pull away from the side of your bowl. So then you know that you have enough moisture. And as soon as your dough is grabbing onto it and the side of your bowl is going clean, then you know that you're pretty much almost there. And after your dough comes together, you're not needing and doing a whole lot of stuff to it. If you find that there's even a little bit of stickiness to your dough, do not add a huge amount of flour, just a pinch around the bowl, like literally just a little pinch. And now the edges of your bowl are completely clean, and it took like literally a pinch of flour to accomplish that, right? So that's enough of this. You don't want to overmix your dough. It's sexy. You can see the elasticity kind of bounce to it that it's acquired just in the 2 minutes that we've been making it. So let's just grab this. Out, out, out. Onto our countertop. Right. I'm done with this. Just gonna make it into a nice ball shape so I can put it in here and leave it to rise. Just want to put that out of my way. So, oops, there. 1 push, 2, 3, yeah, that's it. I just want to see the kind of uniform, clean look you're getting outside, and you can feel that the dough is nicely brought together because there's no lumps in the dough when you're pushing it. It's just nice strands of gluten giving you elasticity. The dough is not wet, it's not dry, it's just perfect. And you push a little bit, you bring it in, and you make this lovely little bubble of dough. It's gorgeous, right? And that's all I wanted to do on the board. And it goes in here. And I'm gonna leave this to rise. So I'm gonna clear these and go and find my gluten-free flours because we're also gonna do a gluten-free dough. So we'll be right back.
Keep you and your family safe with Sol Gas. Here are some helpful tips to keep you and your family safe when cooking with Sol Gas. Never tamper with the cylinder and only use the Sol-approved regulator and a hose designed for use with LPG. Securely connect the regulator to the cylinder valve until it clicks into place and is properly fastened and secured. It is important to check the hose clips and the rubber hose to ensure they're in good working condition and properly secured. It is important to check your hose and regulator and change them as needed. Change your rubber hose every 2 years. Change your regulator every 5 years. If there are signs of damage to your regulator, contact an approved Sol Gas distributor or a Sol service station for replacement immediately. Safety first with Sol Gas.
Okay, so now for our gluten-free pizza dough, we're gonna make our own gluten-free flour mix. So I'm gonna go 3 parts cassava flour here. In. Yeah, we don't have all day. Get in the bowl. Why do you make a mix? Because gluten is a very difficult compound to, or what is it, a molecule, protein, to replace in flour. So cassava has binding agent, so it's naturally glutinous, and sweet potato flour has a different consistency. So what you do is you take the flours and you try to combine them in an effort to make them as close to regular flour as possible. So use the different properties of these flours to create a kind of standard all-purpose gluten-free flour mix, right? So these have like a finer consistency, so a finer grain almost, this flour. And this one is glutinous and kind of sticky. So all of that helps to create a usable gluten-free flour. Gluten-free baking is not the easiest, but I have another product to go over with you that is very helpful in gluten-free baking, and it's called Xantham Gum. It's right by my elbow. Perfect. So 400 grams of flour mix. Before I get to Xantham Gum, I'm just gonna put in some sugar, put in some baking powder, put in some salt, give that a little. It's a very kind of light, airy feel to the flour. It's a very different texture from regular flour, and just don't expect it to perform in the same way. Okay, good. So that's that. Now the Xantham Gum. What can I tell you about it? It's a binding agent. It's a thickener. You use it for either of those things, and it's gluten-free. So when you put it in gluten-free products, it doesn't contaminate them. And it's this is used to replicate gluten in regular flour. So gluten creates these elastic strands that make the flour hold as a dough, rise in the oven. All of these things happen because there's gluten in the flour, right? Xantham Gum attempts to replicate that in gluten-free products. So that's why it's important. Good, so everything is in there. Give this a little stir. Make a little hole in the middle. I want 250 milliliters of water at this point in time. So it's gonna be a little sticky when we make it. Put that in. And then this is our olive oil. And actually, because of the stickiness, I'm going to start combining it with a fork at first. Otherwise, my whole finger is going to be gooey and sticky. So I quickly bring this together. So I'm looking forward to my pizza already. I'm even kind of excited about the vegetarian version of the pizza with the meatballs. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited. Last of the water. Now you never know quite what you're going to get with gluten-free flour. So if you find it's a little dry, then I recommend a little more water. So I find this one is a scintilla dry, so I'm just going to put just a touch. That's quite enough. It's never going to need an quite like gluten dough, but as you can see, it's coming together nicely. So I'm just going to add a little water to this part here. Oops. So that it would also come together and we can get one big ball of dough instead of several. Right. There we have it. Now I'm going to pull it together a little tighter. And I need to let it sit. So I'm also going to let this sit before I start to roll it out. And put it in the fridge, give it a little while, and then we'll be back to start getting our toppings together. While our dough rises, we can get our soup going, and then we can come back around, roll our pizza out, and get our toppings in. So we will get everything all done by the end of the show. Okay? So actually, I want to pre-bake my doughs. And so I'm using my perforated pan again. It's always good to get good wind flow around dough whenever you're doing it for pizza and that kind of thing. So So I'm using that pan. I'm gonna roll out my dough now. My gluten-free dough. Get it pre-baked before I put any toppings on top, because I think the liquid basically will make it fall apart if it's not pre-cooked. So I'm actually gonna pre-cook both of my doughs today, just ever so slightly, and then I'm gonna go on with the toppings. So I'm gonna get this step out of the way before I switch over to soups. I actually prefer this. So there's one thing out of the way and I can clean down and then I can come back. So because of the difficulties involved in rolling gluten-free dough, I usually use this method. So dough is in the fridge, grab that. Okay. It's a bit much. I think maybe I'll only do half of it. And I'll get like a nice neat little pizza in the middle. Right? So it's not gonna hold together like normal dough would. So I'm gonna put a little oil on my parchment, just a touch. I'm gonna wipe it, just like I did before. And then I'm gonna put my gluten-free bread down there and press it. So you can see it starts immediately to try to fall apart. That is not my concern today. I basically treat this dough the same way I would treat sweet pastry, which is very, very friable and falls apart very, very easily. So I'm rolling it between these two sheets. Getting the approximate thickness and shape that I want, and then I can go in and fix whatever problems I find afterwards. Right? Like this problem that I'm already getting. But that's okay, because the parchment paper helps us to overcome the various changes of attitude that our gluten-free dough goes through sometimes, right? So instead of us having bits and bobs falling apart and just working really hard, we just get the approximate shape that we need, get the thickness that will work for us. A little too thick, I'm gonna go in a little bit more. Should I keep it in this rustic, rough shape, or maybe I'm gonna trim the edges, I think, so that I can get a really nice clean finish. I think I prefer that. But it might be square, I'm just warning you. Like a perfect circle would be nice. But I think I might do squares, that might be fun too, yeah? So, that is a pretty decent thickness actually. Just a little bit more thin crust pizza than deep dish, obviously, with your gluten-free pizza. Ta-da-dum. Put that over here. Now I'm gonna trim. You can trim two ways. And this is one of the ways that I like to do it, because then I don't have to manipulate the paper. I can just go around the edges with my scissors, leave everything on the parchment. Just gonna trim it. Okay, looks like we're gonna get a circle or a funny edge square. I'm gonna go with a square with rounded edges instead of flat edges. Very creative, Rhea. I like it. I want to make the most of the dough, basically. So I'm not married to any particular shape. I just want it to look nice in the end. See? I like it already. And of course the dough that is not wastage, you're gonna use it over. You just wet it and reincorporate it into the remaining dough, but this is gonna be our pizza shape. So we cut and go around here and finish this awesome round edge square fabulousness. And now I can choose to take it off the parchment, or I can put it on here. Or if you don't want the parchment because you have a sil pat, you can turn it around and pull it off. Okay? So this goes into the oven, and then we're gonna grab our dough for our regular type pizza, and we're gonna shape that out, and then finally we start with soup. Okay, gorgeous. Into the oven. Haha, look at this. My doughs are out of the oven. They're only partially cooked. And so I'm gonna top them up now with our leftovers. Yes, I am. And then I'm going to put them back in the oven, and we'll finally be able to enjoy them after all this labor, right? But first, before I rush that entire process, I'm just gonna pop on our white bean soup. Really simple, but really tasty. Such a really good dish with the tons of ham we have left over. So let me just grab my prep, my mise en place. And yeah, so we've got onions. So my pan's hot. So regular mirepoix. So onions, celery, carrots, little garlic. The usual suspects are all lined up. Onions and garlic first. This is also going to our good health and good behavior resolution. Soup is very tasty and nutritious and low in calories and all the other wonderful things that you would like to imagine that you'd be doing in the new year. You know, putting your best foot forward and so forth and whatnot. So celery goes in. And this way you change for the better you're eating in the new year. Carrots. Nice little fine dice. You know, I'm excited about finishing these dishes. I really am. But I'm a little sad that this is our last episode, and I'm gonna miss my studio and my crew, and I'm gonna miss you guys. So I don't know if I'm happy or sad. Actually, I'm caught in the middle. So what else do I have to put in here? So I have my peas. So I'm using white cannellini beans. So at this point, I'm gonna need my salt and pepper. I'm gonna grab that. Another pinch of salt. Now in this pan, which I've been studiously getting hot, I'm just quickly going to grab our meatballs for our gluten-free pizza. I'm going to put that there. I'm going to grab my Beyond Meat meatballs. So from a previous episode, you would know that we bought some Beyond Meat products to try, and we still have some left in the fridge, because leftovers aren't only, oops, there you go. Leftovers aren't only stuff that you've cooked, but also stuff that's left over. So you did a big shop, you didn't use it all up, there's still stuff in the fridge. You shop before Christmas, you haven't had a shop for the New Year, but there's a bunch of food to get through, and that's exactly what leftovers are. A bunch of stuff that you really need to move on from. So we tried it before, the ground beef version, so now we're going to try the meatball version. So just like any regular meatball, it's going to need to be cooked a little stir on the outside before it goes on our pizza. So I'd say 9 of these is enough. That's good. Pop that over there. Now we've got 2 things going on at once. Nice color on the meatballs. Nice color coming up on my beans and my mirepoix. Now we're not going to make this super long, drawn out process, right? I'm going to get me some chicken stock. And of course, some marjoram, because we need some herbs in there. Just gonna let that sit and cook through for a bit. Maybe a little bit more stock, just because I don't want my soup too thick. I find bean soups thicken up as they cool because of the starch content in the beans. You know, beans are high protein food, but they also have a certain amount of starch in them. So that's perfect right there. And I believe my meatballs are done. So I'm just gonna put them right next to the pizza. I just want some color on them. I don't want them overcooked. And look at that. They look perfect, just like regular meatballs. Nobody's gonna know. And I like this idea of letting people try this brand, but not telling them that it's not meat. And just like see how they react to see if they can tell any difference. There's slight differences, but nothing so noticeable that you're not going to enjoy if you're like a dedicated meat eater. So you could easily share this pizza with anybody who normally eats meat, and I doubt they can tell. I'm pretty confident that they won't tell. But that sounds like a fun experiment, so I want you to try it. Maybe if you win one of our giveaways and there's some Beyond Meat in it, you will try my experiment and you will tag us and let us know. Excellent. So, you know what? Just to be special and difficult and just a little bit different, I'm going to do the gluten-free vegetable pizza as a meatball and cheese pizza. And I'm not going to say anything to anybody. So I'm going to just put on, there's going to be no veg on the veg pizza. Well, no discernible veg. That serves them right for challenging me and doubting just in general that I could make vegetarian stuff taste good. So got our lovely thick tomato sauce that we made before. And we actually made this tomato sauce ages ago. What were we making? Lasagnas with it. And so this is a leftover as well. I'm gonna try to give it some nice, yes. So I'm gonna just leave a very thin crust, very thin edge to our pizza. Actually, while I'm at it, I'm just gonna put some tomato on our other pizza as well. Just do everything one time. So I can put this back in the fridge. So tomato sauce. So I have a really thick crust on this pizza because that's what I like. And then you can fill the middle of it with lots of fillings. So right now it's not fully cooked, but in a bit it will be. And I'm gonna do kind of a meat eater's pizza with some pineapple and olives to give that salty sweet. I can already hear the people who say no pineapple on your pizza gearing up. But I believe it's your pizza, so you can do what you like. Okay, right, so we've got tomato sauce on everybody, and that means I can just pop on my meatballs as well. So remember, this is a meatball and cheese pizza, and we're not gonna tell them that it's all vegetarian. So y'all have to learn to keep a secret, okay? We're gonna go with these cutesy little baubles of mozzarella. They're so handy, so you don't have to slice. I'm gonna get them all out. Yeah. And then we've got our vegan cheese still. So that's it. That's all I'm gonna put on this. We'll see how this works out. Cheese and meatball pizza. Made with this is coconut, this type of cheese. So it's not a vegan variation, it's a vegetarian cheese because vegans wouldn't eat the mozzarella, but that's okay because we're not making a vegan one, we're just making a vegetarian one, but we're not telling anybody that it's a vegetarian one, right? So that's good. And I'm just gonna put a little more tomato sauce on each meatball so they don't get dry in the oven. I don't want my meatballs drying out when I put them in the oven. So a little sauce. I also don't want my pizza like dripping in sauce, so. That's my finish. Cheese and meatball pizza, vegetarian style. Let's see who is able to guess what we're up to. So that's out of the way. Do it tidy. I'll leave the milk over there. I'm gonna come over here. And he's back, or should I say she's back. Our meat feast pizza needs some meat, of course, to make it delicious. So, this one's ready for the oven. Off you go. Now I'm gonna slice up our, this was a sausage stuffed beef roast that we had for Christmas. We still have it in the fridge because we're so full from all the various things that we had to eat. So we're gonna sprinkle on a bit of this. I'm not putting a million things on this. It's gonna be this and some ham, because we're still encouraging kind of healthy portions. So let's not go overboard just because we have leftovers and eat too much. So So 2 slices of ham or so. But this Farmer's Choice ham, you know, it's still got some life in it. It's still yummy, so just a reasonable amount. So that's our meat feast. I like pineapple. I said it twice, so you heard me. So pineapple is going on. It's gonna add like a sweet flavor to our pizza.
Come home to the place you love. The sights, the sounds, the feelings. Come home to the taste you love. So bring home the flavor. Bring home the ham with Farmer's Choice. Bring home the flavor. Bring home the ham with Farmer's Choice.
And now I'm just going to get a few slices of ham for our soup. We've been doing very well. Our leftovers are dwindling as we speak, but we're making good, healthy choices. So I'm just gonna put the ham straight into the soup. Just a little bit. I'm gonna keep some more for later so we have chunks, but I just wanna add a little ham flavor to the soup. It's actually almost done because we have a decent ratio of liquid to beans. I mean, they're canned beans, so you don't have to cook them forever. I'm just gonna grab my food processor now, and I'm going to blitz like a little bit more than half of this soup. Now, why am I only blitzing half? Because I want a nice smooth soup, but I also want chunky bits. I also want chunky bits to bite into, so I don't want perfectly smooth soup at all. So let's get my blitzer set up. Right, so set my blitzer up. But when you blitz this, it's gonna get some creamy. It's gonna add some creaminess to it. So just that's enough. A little liquid. And then I'm left with some whole beans. And you can see the fine dice on the vegetables and that kind of thing. So we like that. We need decorative elements, okay? We can't just like make the soup all one consistency and all one color. Where's the fun in that? I'm gonna take this off to let some steam escape. And so now we're gonna blitz. Till it's nice and smooth. I'm gonna grab me a nice bowl to put our finished soup in. I feel virtuous, like we're eating healthy, we're not wasting anything, we're using up our leftovers. People are gonna wanna eat our food because we're adding some dishes on top of what we've been having for Christmas. They were simple, they taste lovely. I think this is a good session that we're having right here, right now. That's my personal belief. Ooh, smells delicious. Safety first, take your blade out. You may want to put some of that excess off the blade back into the saucepan. And then our blitz soup can safely be transferred back into the pot. And then you know what time it is next, right? It's time to taste. And even more importantly, it's going to be time to have our pizza as well. But sadly, it's also going to be time to say goodbye and start dreaming of another season of How to Cook Like a Bajan. No, like what could be nicer? Let's get it in the bowl so you can see what's going on. Look at that. White cannellini bean and ham soup. All those leftovers repurposed to good. See the little chunks, you see the smooth, you see the little bits of minced, you see the little bits of diced vegetables. There's a little orange in there, there's herbs. It's delicious. It's already delicious. I don't even need to taste it. I mean, I'm not going to say no to tasting it. I'm just saying I don't need to taste it. I mean, the ham started out delicious. We steamed it in beer, you know. So, like, what could go wrong from here? And it's warm. And I just like warm soup. I really do. So, let me go get the pizzas. Our vegetarian meatball and cheese pizza and our meat feast. And yeah, and then we're gonna wrap up. See you in a bit.
Massy Card credit card has gone digital. Download the new e-wallet by Massy Card app that gives Massy Card credit card holders more power to scan to pay, earn Massy points, send credit,
Thanks, man.
pay bills, and so much more.
That's awesome!
Easy, instant, and secure from your smartphone. Go digital with the free e-wallet by Massy Card app. Now available on Google Play or the Apple App Store.
Well, the pizza cutter is out. And you know what that means? That I got new equipment to play with, but also that the pizza's done. As always, I just love a gadget. It doesn't have to be complicated as long as it's a gadget. Aha! It's so awesome. Numero uno. Leftover ham pizza. Farmer's Choice ham, steamed in beer, delivered to you, looking different. And our vegetarian meat pizza, what are we gonna call this? Faux meat pizza? Or Beyond Meat meatball and cheese pizza on our gluten-free crust. Look at it, isn't it gorgeous? It is. I have to agree with myself, I really do. So now I'm gonna give that a, oh, I need a plate. I need a plate, I need a plate. Yes. First, let us cut the vegetarian pizza. I'm gonna go across the back. Just gonna cut a square with my handy dandy pizza cutter. I'm gonna take out exactly one corner. Yes. The cheese melt on the vegan cheese is actually pretty decent. I was not sure if that would work, so we have like a thin crust pizza here. I want to take out just a little square. I don't want the whole thing coming. Aha. So one meatball slice of pizza. Yeah, I said it, meatball. And now we're gonna take out a slice from this one. Ooh, juicy. So this is like deep crust pizza. Let's go in a little bit more. Cut, cut. And that's our ham and our beef repurposed to deliciousness. Okay, let's not even bother with putting it on the, ooh, look at that nice crust. Hard out here, little sponge in the middle. Tomato sauce is nice. Repurposed from our lasagna. But I know what you want to know. You want to know how the meatball pizza tastes. I know. That's all you stayed to hear. How did the vegan, vegetarian / meatball pizza turn out? So, I'm excited, but I'm sad. Like, what should I do here? Okay, excitement first, then the goodbyes. So our thin crust gluten-free pizza stands up to test. It's nice and crispy on the outside, as you can see, but it's holding very well. Got a little give in the middle. Let's get some meatball. You can see inside there. It's not a perfect replica, but it's very close. And it tastes very, very similar. I think people will not know that this is not a meatball pizza if you do not tell them. You have to try this. You have to not say a word. You can't giggle like I do. And you have to let them eat it and then tell you what they think. Now I have it everywhere. But this is delicious. So, this has been a really fun day. I think we did really well with our leftovers. We had an awesome season. We really enjoyed interacting with you on all the nation platforms, on their IG, on their Facebook, on their website, on their YouTube. And of course, you've been following all the fun behind the scenes on Fine Cuisine Magazine, including that shocking lobster video that they started out the season with. I don't know how that got out. And until next time, I just want you to keep on cooking, keep messaging us. If you try a recipe, even if it's 2 months from now, you're still gonna message us and tag us and let us know how you're doing. And I look forward to seeing you next season. From How to Cook Like a Bajan, sayonara.
Hi, I'm Ryan Adamson, Mount Gay's mixologist, and today I'm going to do a cocktail for you called The Last Show. It's a very simple cocktail, 4 ingredients, fantastic flavors. Today we're going to be using some freshly brewed coffee, a nice cherry syrup, the black barrel rum, and of course, this time of the year, some sorrel. So let's get started. I like to start by adding some ice to my mixing jar. And as I said, it's a very simple cocktail. We're using 1 ounce each of fresh brewed coffee, 1 ounce of a nice cherry syrup, has a deep red color. We're going for 1 ounce of my favorite from the Mount Gay Black Barrel Rum. Fantastic flavors which are going to just come alive in this cocktail. And then we're doing 1 ounce of PhD sorrel drink. And then we're going to give this cocktail a nice stir. The reason I'm stirring the cocktail is just because I want to bring the flavors together nicely without agitating them or waking them up too much, nor too much dilution added to the cocktail. We're going to strain it into our martini glass. Look at that color. Fantastic. And then we're garnishing with a sprig of rosemary. Just want to wake it up slightly, awaken those aromas, and we're going to just finish it off by accentuating with a nice Bruce Spruce aromatic. And there we go, The Last Show.